Welcome to Our Drummers Musicians, your backstage pass to Melbourne's vibrant music scene. Recorded on a cosy couch in Brunswick, join us as we explore what it truly means to be a musician and speak to the diverse talents that make music in our city. Today we're joined by Hannie, a bedroom folk-grunge artist from Melbourne, finding her place in the local Melbourne music scene. Hannie's music, characterised by a delicate voice and catchy melody, often hides dark lyrics over the top of some acoustic and distortion fun. Although born in Melbourne and raised in Switzerland, she documents life in Melbourne's inner north with both the homesick love of a local and the wide-eyed wonder of a traveller. Influenced by the folk rock of Big Thief and the emotional grunge of slow pulp, Hannie is just beginning to find her footing, having played her first gigs last year both solo and with a band. Join us as we chat about her recent experience as support act on tour with the Vovos, moving back to Melbourne, and her preparation to enter the studio and record her first single. We want to take a moment to acknowledge the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation as the traditional custodians of the land on which this podcast was recorded. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Welcome to the podcast, Hannie.
Thank you so much.
What is the most recent album that you've listened to?
Ooh. Honestly, it probably was the full album. I feel like I don't do that as much as I want to.
Mm-hmm.
I should be listening to full albums more. I'm very the kind to just listen to a single and then forget about the artist, and then 2 years later be like, oh my god, this was incredible. Why did I never listen to this? It was probably Lilla Gubbin by the Vovos.
Oh.
Awesome album.
Cool.
I'm committed to it.
Why do you say that you should listen to a full album?
Well, I know it tells a story, and also, because if I like an artist's song, I just don't know why I never think to listen to more of their songs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I usually just naturally find another song by them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I should have done this all along. So I'm trying to listen to more albums because then I'll find more good music that I like. It's really obvious, but I don't know. I think I'm lazy.
Well, I guess the times have changed from, where you bought an album and it was the only album that you had, and so you listen to it lots, whereas now everyone's constantly putting out heaps of signals, and it's super easy to access all of them because they're on streaming platforms.
You know what I just remembered as well? Older by Lizzie McAlpine. That's an album I listened to recently, and I committed to it, and I was very proud of myself.
It's a great album.
It's awesome. It's so good.
So you just finished the tour with the Vovos.
I did.
What was that like?
That was really fun. I think it's funny that I kept calling it a tour. It is a tour, but I don't know. I feel like I got a lot of imposter syndrome with the music world on that, because they're totally in it, and I felt a little bit more like their roadie. But I did do a show in Beechworth, which was really, really fun. It was a little bit intimidating. It was my first time doing a show to an audience that wasn't really actually there to see me. So it was in this bar and everybody was talking really loud, and I was essentially just performing there was no stage as well. It was level. I was essentially just performing to the back of some guy. So it was kind of intimidating. It was kind of hard, but then people came up to me after. They were like, oh, that looked really hard, but you did well. And so that actually felt really nice. And it was fun. It was just really fun as well to experience the kind of tour life. And they're all my closest friends, so we had a really awesome time. I loved it.
Yeah, great. Because it's interesting with you thinking about the different podcast guests we've got. You're really just starting out with your music. You've put out a bunch of demos, and there's lots of videos on Instagram if you're singing. But in a couple months' time will be the first time that you're going into the studio to record your song to be officially put out. And you've just been playing your first shows and stuff. So it's I don't know. We feel like we're at this exciting point right at the very start of Hannie Day and everything that's going to come next.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I wonder if once I record and release something, then I'll feel a bit more stability in the whole idea of being a musician. Because at the moment, I kind of just feel I've done a few shows here and there. And also, I think because I'm surrounded by so many musicians, I get a lot of stuff. I get a lot of shows. I opened for Gush because Lucy knew me, and I've opened for my dad before, the Greg Arnold. I believe he was on the podcast.
Episode 1.
And so, yeah, part of me kind of feels like along with the imposter syndrome, like a nepo baby, and wondering if I'm as deserving of, you know, being a part of the music scene, since a lot of it has been handed to me, and I'm very grateful for it, but I also feel a bit like I recognize that sometimes, and I think that sometimes that can make me feel like I'm just starting out, but I've got so many opportunities already. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. Well, maybe if we can go back, you know, to like the very start of you and your musical journey, where did you first start enjoying music and wanting to do it, you know, as an original artist?
Yeah, I feel like I've kind of always loved it. I think I recorded a song in my dad's studio when he worked at NMIT, like in that studio when I was like 7.
Okay.
Called like Mermaid Ballerina or something. And it was a very emotional tale about a mermaid ballerina. And also what's really cute is when I was like 9, one of my closest friends, Bianca, who's also my backup singer, we made this like 30-minute movie. We had choir every week, and so every week we would add a little bit to it. It was called Let's Rock This House Down.
Cool.
And it's about these 2 girls in high school that are in a band, and we wrote all these songs for it. And so it was really gorgeous because now she came on tour with me. She always plays with me, and rewatching those videos, it's like so parallel. So yeah, I feel like I've always been interested in it. And then who was it? I used to watch Dodie's YouTube videos in like 2015. She like plays ukulele.
Okay.
And then that inspired me to start Hannie Music. And
Right.
then I just kind of started posting songs and then getting more into the idea of music videos and stuff. So I feel like that Instagram account was really what propelled my interest and love for creating not just the songs, but also a little video to go along with it. Like I'm really excited about the idea of music videos and just creating this whole little moment.
Yeah, cool. Because you make some pretty fun videos on your Instagram.
I do.
Especially my favorite is the one with like you spinning at the end of the video, I think. You know, like it's like you playing and then there's like a little graphic of like a miniature.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love that one. The one where I marry Ice Spice.
Yeah, that one.
Do you know who Ice Spice is?
I had to look it up, if I'm honest.
That's okay.
When I watched the video with Lucy, we were both like, who's that?
That's really funny.
Sorry. For people like me that don't know.
I don't even know how to describe Ice Spice. Ice Spice is just a really famous rapper. And I thought it was really funny because you could not get further apart from Ice Spice's music and my music. She's also just culturally a very different person to me, but she's awesome. I'm a big fan. She's just like a very popular rapper that's like very like out there and hypersexual and stuff.
Right. Like a Nicki Minaj character or something.
Oh my God, yeah, totally. She's like the Nicki Minaj of my generation.
Interesting. So if that's like the complete opposite of your, you know, musical vibes, are there some local Melbourne artists that are doing the thing that you like?
There totally are. I'm super into, at the moment, Phoebe Go. I love Phoebe Go. And I've got a little bit of like a music scene crush on Simon Lamb, who does Armlock.
Okay.
And he just produces Phoebe Go stuff and also so many like Juice Webster and then Armlock itself. So exactly, I'm just kind of creepily trying to stalk around him and see. I'm not sure. I actually did because Armlock did a gig with Gush. And so I went up to him and I was like, I have created a fan base for you in Switzerland. You are my god. I said something along the lines of that. Yeah, and also just like my friends, Mika James, the Vovos, all of them. It's so awesome to be around Melbourne musicians and be able to just go to local gigs. It's like my favorite way to enjoy music is going to a gig.
Because was there much gigs in Switzerland when you lived there?
No, not really. There were big concerts if you like drove further out. And there was the Montreux Jazz Festival, which is like really renowned. And the tickets are super expensive, but it's awesome because you get a really small room. So I saw Phoebe Bridgers with my dad.
Wow.
And it was like such a small room, such an intimate room. It was a really incredible opportunity. There was this one place called Bongo Joe's, which was like the hip spot. And you could get really cheap Aperol spritzers and they would do a gig every Thursday. And so I think a dream of mine is one day to go back and do a gig at Bongo Joe's. That would be like a full circle moment.
It does sound fun. So how long did you live in Switzerland for and how long did you spend in Melbourne, I guess, before you went over there?
So I lived in Melbourne until I was like 9. And then I lived in Switzerland from like 9 to 18.
Mm-hmm.
So even though basically I spent the same amount of time in both countries, I don't remember a lot from when I was 1 to like 3. So I feel like Switzerland was a very formative time for me.
Yep.
And so actually, I mean, I moved back on my 18th birthday, which I thought would be really cool and symbolic, but it just ended up being a little bit sad.
Just a bit hard coming back where you haven't been here for so long, and, you know, hard to get the connections started back again. Yeah,
I really underestimated how it feels to go somewhere and not really have a structure. And I was walking around on my first day, and we went and visited my brother at work, and I was like, I don't even have a job. They're like, Hannie, it's been less than 24 hours. It would be crazy if you had a job. But yeah, I was a very social person in Switzerland and constantly filled my time with people. And it was always a little bit of a goal of mine to learn to be alone, but I never really had to. And then I moved to Switzerland. I moved to Melbourne, and it was like face to face with my big fear. And so I really had to learn to be alone, but it was actually a really valuable time. Like, it was very hard to get back into the groove, especially at such a already kind of tumultuous age. Like, going from high school to uni, it's a time where no one really knows what's going on. And so having to do that and also kind of starting from scratch in a new place was hard, but it was very worth it, and good songwriting material.
Yeah, so has that time like really inspired quite a lot of your lyrics?
Yeah, it has. I wrote a song and put a little thing on Instagram about kind of just referencing how it was my friend's birthday and I couldn't be there for it. And it was really sad. I really love birthdays. And somebody commented, some guy from like Connecticut with 4 kids commented like, wow, this is great, Hannie. I know long distance relationships are really hard. And I was like, wow, that's not what I meant at all. But it's really nice that he picked up on parts of it, and he appreciated the whole idea of it. But yeah, and I think a lot of my song Moving On, which I really am proud of, is like a weird mix of all of my scariest thoughts and feelings. And a lot of that is when I was over there and I was thinking about moving back to Australia and how it was going to be so weird to be not Australian, but also having only identified as Australian for so long. Like in international school, I was like the only Australian in my grade. It was basically if someone heard the word kangaroo, they'd look at me and I'd be like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. So I felt very hyper Australian, and sometimes like when I noticed I started losing the accent a bit, I'd get really sensitive about it. And people would ask me where I'm from in the States, and I'd be like, I'm not from the States. And so, yeah, it was interesting thinking about how in Switzerland I was so Australian, and then moving back to Australia, I was going to have to learn to be sometimes the least Australian person in the room.
Yeah, that must have been quite challenging.
Yeah, and it was funny as well because I was with my friends one time in a circle around a fire. And I was like, wow, this is incredible, guys. We are all Australian. And they're like, what are you talking about? That's a really weird thing to talk about. But yeah, it's kind of something that I feel like if you don't move, you don't think about it, but moving.
So does Melbourne feel like home now that you've been here for a few years?
Melbourne definitely feels like home. Even when I first moved back, like culturally, I'm much more Australian than I am Swiss. Like Swiss people, I feel like they're quite cold and also not very outgoing. And so I remember when we first moved there, my mum would like talk to the waiter at the restaurant, and I'd be like, this is so embarrassing. There's a real divide between who's your friends and who's a stranger. Whereas what I love so much about Melbourne, I don't know much about the rest of Australia, but it's just your strangers can be your friends. Courtney Barnett says that in a song, actually. Your friends are your strangers. No, the other way around. Strangers are friends in Melbourne. And yeah, I really connect to that. I feel like it's a really beautiful place with community.
So how was it finding, your place in the scene of this, sort of indie grunge music? Was that a quick experience, I guess, after you started like posting and doing some stuff in Melbourne, or has it taken, quite a while to build up to doing things like, hanging out with the Vovos and playing around?
I feel like I'm still looking. The Vovos was really a coincidence just because they are just friends with my friends. So it wasn't really a music industry connection thing. It was just kind of friends that happened to also be musicians and happened to also be the kind of music that I really love. So I feel like I'm still definitely looking for my place, and I've been doing a lot of shows opening for people that aren't necessarily my aesthetic. I think it was really funny when I opened for Human Noise and Gush, because I was like, wow, I'm not meant to be on this lineup. Like, I was so folksy, and then they came out with their like distortion pedals. I was like, whoa. So yeah, I feel like I am still looking to find the scene where I fit.
Well, you know, it's funny that you say like, oh, it didn't match the lineup or something, but they probably selected you because they wanted that aesthetic for the opening. And, you know, like there's bands used to tour with stand-up comedians and stuff. So, you know, sometimes there's something nice about going to a show where all the lineup is not just the same.
Yeah, that's nice to think about. I'm going to keep that with me.
Like, I can't remember who it was that opened for Kings of Convenience, but his act was like standing and reading his diary, and he just read, you know, his thoughts for I don't know, it felt like a very, very long time. I should find out who it is and put his act in the show notes. But yeah, I don't know, I think it's great that you're just playing with lots of different things, because, you know, I guess you'll find more and more opportunities will come as you do more and more things like that. Yeah,
it's true. It felt really fun. And also it's nice because I do like that type of music. Like, I recognize that most of my songs are a very specific style, but in terms of the music that I like, it varies a lot. So it was nice to be able to be with acts that I really enjoy listening to.
Yeah, so how would you describe your sound? You know, I sort of stole a bit of my intro from a bio that I found of yours. But yeah, if you were to put it into words, I guess, if that's possible, how would you describe your sound?
Yeah, I thought that was really funny because my dad wrote that. And so I was like, yeah, this is traveling around. It's definitely way easier to get other people to describe it, because I feel like when I hear my music, I don't really hear music. I just hear like my thoughts and the memories associated with it. I'm not sure. I do think maybe like indie folk grunge, something like that. I think I take a lot of inspiration from Phoebe Bridgers, and in terms of production, I'm really into Howdy, and so I'm really hoping to go into recording with that kind of style in mind. But it's really hard to describe my own music because I feel like I can't hear it. Sometimes I do wish I could hear my music from the ears of somebody else, in a non-morbid way. That sounds grosser than I meant. But yeah, I'd like to be able to hear what it actually sounds like without all of my biases.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd never thought about that, how you can't, you know, you're always listening to your music with your ears.
Yeah, most of the time.
So what's like the creative process for you, Hannie, when you're writing a song, let's say? We sort of touched on, like, you know, using some more like tumultuous times, or like, you know, being quite lonely in Melbourne when you first came here. What's the process like of going from that to, you know, turning it into a song?
I feel like I really use writing music as like a diary, or like it's a very therapeutic tool for me. And yeah, some of my most emotional songs came from a time when I was really upset, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to pick up a guitar and see what comes out. And so I really like that. But I've written a lot of songs that never went anywhere, of me being like, wow, what do I do? I'm really happy right now. Like, I don't have anything to talk about. So it's been nice trying as well to write some happier songs, because that's like a challenge for me, because it's not as cathartic necessarily. But I was in the doctor's office one time, and they were taking a really long time. So I pulled out a little book. I have a little notebook on me, and I wrote some lyrics that were happier, because I was feeling good, you know, as you do at the doctor's, I guess. And then I went over to my friend Bianca's house, and Mika James was also there. And I was like, oh, hey, I wrote these lyrics, or I mean a poem, I guess. You want to see what we can do with it? And so we just she played some chords and I read the lyrics, and then it turned into a song called Orange. And that was really fun because it was a very different approach to what I'm used to. So I think in the past it's been very much like a therapeutic tool, But hopefully in the future I'll see different ways and different styles of making songs.
Do you feel that people have, reached out to connect with you over like some of the lyrics as like a shared experience or like shared cathartic energy, or it's more just the actual process for you of, turning these thoughts and feelings into a song is, more of your own experience?
I do feel like, I'm trying to think if there are any things. There have been some people that have pointed out specific lyrics, which always feels really good, because sometimes I'm like, I don't believe that people are actually listening. So when people point out little specific things, I'm like, no way, you were actually totally there. I'm not sure. I feel like it's a very personal process, and it's cute when my friends come along, because then they say that the way they listen to it is really interesting because they really see me in it. Like I have a lot of friends and they'll hear the songs and they'll be like, oh yeah, she was talking about this last week.
Yep.
And so I feel like it is a very personal thing, but if people can connect to it, that feels really incredible.
Well, if we chat about like, the gigs that you did last year, what's it been like playing shows in Melbourne? I don't know, you can pick if you want to talk about band shows or solo sets.
I love band shows. I also feel like it takes a little bit of the pressure off me sometimes, because it's just me with a guitar. Like I did one recently where my dad played backup guitar, and it felt really nice to just have a little bit more energy on the stage. I do love when I do my little 2-piece set with me and Bianca, but I love when I get someone with violin as well. I did a show opening for Lucy Harrington, who's like incredible. She doesn't have anything out really, but I'm so obsessed with her music. It was such an honor to be able to play for her. I've like WhatsApped her asking her to send me memos of her songs.
Okay, cool.
Because they're beautiful. And I did that show with me, Bianca, and a violinist, this guy Will French. And it just felt so beautiful. So I do feel like I love that. And violin is such an emotional instrument. I have to be careful that I don't burst into tears when I'm on stage.
Oh, that's cool. It's nice that you like that and that you've been able to like incorporate it into your act.
Yeah, it felt really cool. It felt quite original as well. I know it's not really like people know about violins, but maybe with the style of music that I'm doing, maybe people wouldn't expect it. I think I got a lot of inspiration from my favorite band, Slow Pulp, has a song, Falling Apart, which is like my favorite song in the world. And they have violin in it. And it's just a really beautiful touch.
Where's that band from?
Ooh, I think they're from Ohio or something, but they're from the States. Yeah, I'm just hoping that they'll come to Melbourne. But Australia is so far away that it's hard for like smaller bands to come here because it's such a commitment.
Yeah. And if you come, there's only like a couple of major cities, whereas in the States you can, drive an hour or two and
exactly
play another show.
Yeah.
So what are you looking forward to the most about actually, going to the studio to record a song of yours rather than, sort of doing the home demos or like self-recording you've done previously?
Yeah, it'll be exciting to have other people's perspectives and also to be able to bring some of my ideas to life, because I do a lot of recording by myself on GarageBand, and I'll be like, oh, I want this sound, but I don't really have the experience to find it. So yeah, it'll be really exciting and it'll feel big and real. I'm super excited about it.
What do you mean by it'll feel big and real?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think probably a recurring theme that I'm going through at the moment is just not feeling like a real musician and just feeling like I'm kind of pretending. And yeah, so anything that can get me closer to feeling like I'm doing the real thing, I'm excited about. But I wonder if maybe it's a me thing and it's, you could put me on stage in front of 1 million people if you want, I would accept. And I would still not feel like a real musician. I don't know when that's going to change.
I've definitely picked up on the theme throughout the podcast interviews so far that there are a lot of musicians with imposter syndrome, of all various levels of success. I think it comes with being like a person who's quite, clever and intelligent and engaged, and so yeah, you can put your tea down there. That's fine.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, like I don't know. I think it just means that you're thinking about stuff and you care, and all of that stuff matters. And I think ultimately helps people become better musicians, even if you don't feel necessarily like oh, this is my place. It's like, well, it is. You're writing songs and you're playing shows and you're recording music, and, you know, that is being a musician.
Yeah, I think it's also the kind of field that I don't know if there's any like archaeologists out there being like, oh, I don't know if I'm a real archaeologist. But I think since so many people, you know, sing in the shower, and so I feel like what's probably so deeply ingrained in me is those like X Factor YouTube videos of like top 10 craziest X Factor auditions. And I'm like, what if I'm totally going up there and everyone is just laughing at me? And I think what really helps, even though I love all the support I get from my family and friends, when someone really random reaches out to me, like someone from high school I never talked to, or someone I don't know, like that guy from Connecticut, it means so much more to me, because I'm like, oh, you didn't owe me a compliment. Like, you said that because you wanted to. And so it's stuff like that that keeps me going.
Well, it's nice that you're getting it already. Yeah. But that also that you know that you can, you know, sort of look out for those things and hold on to them, because it can definitely be hard, especially when, you know, it's just friends and family that are supporting you at the start, trying to move from just, connecting with people that are in your direct circle versus getting your music out there and heard by other people, and then having them also, you know, appreciate it and come to shows or listen to your music. Do you have like some plans about, you know, where the next stages of your music is going to go once you've finished recording?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm kind of just doing it to see where it can go. I don't have any big plans. Like, I don't even know if my goal is to become a musician professionally. I'm kind of just going to see where it goes, and I'm excited to, I've already got some music videos kind of planned for the songs that I'm planning to record. So I'm just excited to get it out there and do some more shows and see who likes it. And yeah, try and get more people to give me compliments. That's the goal.
Well, where did you get the talent for the music video thing from?
Oh, I don't know if it's a talent, but I'll take that. I don't know. I used to have a YouTube channel when I was like 10, and it got 50 subscribers. So in some ways I peaked already. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like editing's really fun. I guess it's something that I kind of forget that not everybody does. But yeah, I used to like do a video every year as like a recap. And yeah, I've always loved in school projects when you get the opportunity to make a video to really commit to it. So I don't know, I think I just teach myself along the way. Like my music video for Want You, the one with Ice Spice, I tried all kinds of stuff. I bought like a piece of green paper from Peter Monty's, and I downloaded all kinds of apps. Like it took me like weeks to do. And I'd like blow off friends. They'd be like, you want to hang out? I'd be like, I can't. I've got a really serious commitment to myself. I have to record me getting married to Ice Spice. So it was like a trial and error process. So
is this like a scrapboard green screen? Is that how you achieved the spinning Ice Spice cutout?
Yeah, I like I printed photos of myself. I asked my mom, I was like, you need to go outside and take photos of me in front of this blank wall, pretending to play the guitar. She was like, I'm really busy. And I was like, but this is important. And so I got these photos, and then I think I cut them out and printed them, and then took photos of them against a green screen. And then I think I realized that didn't work. So I had to go back and then do it all on the computer, like cut the PDF out of myself and then play. I don't even remember. I think I was in like a haze of like, I just fell so deep into the process that I was not even conscious.
Does that happen often? Like you just deep dive into a task and you're like, just got to put everything else aside. I'm getting this done.
Yeah, I think it does. I think I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and especially when it comes to creative stuff, which can be a bit of a burden as well. But yeah, I can get really obsessed with things. Like this weekend, my boss just stopped working, like the manager stopped working at my restaurant job. And so I made him this book, and I was like, yeah, it'll take me like 5 minutes. And it took me all weekend, like cutting out photos and stuff. But I really like it. I really enjoy being crafty. I think it's fun. It's
a good skill. It's interesting that you're like, you have the video editing sort of skills, but then you also do all these like practical solutions, like to, you know, I guess a lot of people would just like digitally cut out an image, but you've got this like creative approach of, I'm actually going to get a real photo and I'm going to print it and cut it out and then manually green screen it and then put it back in to like digitally manipulate and like do animations with.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if that's a skill or if that's just me lacking the ability to see the most practical answer and just being like, okay, I think I have to do this. But I do like it because all of the little words were scrap paper, so I ripped them out. And I don't think I would have been able to easily get that effect with my ability if I did it all digitally. It was fun. It's fun cutting things up on paper. It's just fun.
Well, it's so good that you're just having fun whilst you're doing it. And, you know, I think it creates like a very interesting and unique vibe because you've got these videos where they're like handmade and in a world where everybody's doing things digitally. Like, I don't know, I think it stands out and it's interesting and it's creative.
Yeah, thanks. It was fun. I think it's really important with art for me that I have this art that I'm really passionate about and care a lot about, like music. But I can't always turn to music when I want to be creative because I have too much pressure on it, which is why I really love painting and scrapbooking and doing little music videos and stuff because there's a lot less pressure on myself to make something good. And yeah, I was talking about this to you a while ago about how I got really into paint by numbers.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I finished it. And then I edited a photo series to put on Instagram of my friends and I selling it at an auction.
Oh.
And then me buying it and my friend wanting it and my friend punching me in the face. It was like so it was like a meta creative project. But it was really nice. Just painting is a really fun activity to do, and I feel like I'm someone that needs to occupy myself because if I sit still for too long, I get kind of freaked out.
Mm-hmm. So what was it like doing a group paint by numbers rather than, I don't know, a solo endeavor?
Oh, it was really fun. It was really fun social activity. My friends got really mad at me when we'd hang out and they'd be like, and you didn't bring the paint by numbers. Like, what are we even doing? We had this one, two of my friends and I got really into it. And then this other friend who's also super creative, very talented painter, she started switching things up, you know, coloring outside of the lines, then mixing paints together, and we're like, you're kicked off. You can't play without paint by numbers anymore. You got too creative. You need to stay within the lines and do exactly what it tells you. That's what art is all about.
Following the rules.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The more structure, the better.
That's how I feel.
So what's the next, sort of thoughts that you have about music? If you're not planning to, I suppose, do anything in particular and just see what happens, do you think that you'll still keep writing? Is that still like a cathartic and like helpful experience, or are you more interested in just playing shows now, or I don't know, something else completely?
Yeah, I noticed that I'm not writing as much anymore. I just don't really have the time. I'm so busy, and so when I do music, it's like, okay, I'm doing a show, I'm recording, or I'm rehearsing or something. I hope I do find the time to write again because I really love it. But I'm focusing on different elements. I'm doing a creative writing course in uni, which is really fun. I've only ever really thought about putting words down as lyrics. And so it was nice to be able to be like, oh no, I can make a poem. And it took a lot of that pressure away because oftentimes when I think of nice words, I'm like, okay, and now I have to make them rhyme. And now I have to put it in a song. I need to find good melody and stuff. So it was nice to be able to enjoy songwriting without the song, which I believe is called poetry. But I think that was also kind of a sneaky way for me to get better at my songwriting skills. And I'm doing a stand-up comedy course at uni. I'm really making the most of my HEX debt. And I'm excited to be able to use those skills in like my inter-song stage banter, which is the most important part of music. Structure and comedy. That's my approach.
Because you're doing an arts degree, not a music degree, right?
No, yeah, I'm doing arts.
What has, I guess, these things that you've been learning done for you with the music side of things? Like, do you feel like it's actually changing the way that you're, thinking about your next song? Or is it more like, oh, now I'm learning all these skills and I'm just getting better at stage banter because, I've learned some comedy tricks from Stand-Up Comedy 101?
Well, I feel like I'm not at the point yet, and I actually hope I never reach this point, where I see my songs as like a separate project from myself. Like I feel like I'm not actually doing things to develop my songs or my music career, but just by developing myself in a way, I'm kind of adding to that. I just think I see my music as like a byproduct of me existing. So whatever I am learning, it's gonna naturally find its way into my music. But yeah, I'm yet to put any of my anthropology or French skills into my songs, but maybe that's for a future project.
Maybe like a secondary EP that's all in French.
Yeah, my dad really wanted to make a yeah band. Do you know yeah music?
I don't.
It's like women's rock pop of the 60s, and it's predominantly, it's a French genre.
Okay.
And it's awesome, and I just love their music, and I showed it to my dad and he got into it as well. And so he kind of wants to make like a French yeah band where he translates a lot of, well, I think he would need my help to translate a lot of the Australian classic 60s songs into French. So maybe I'll be seeing that soon. It sounds really fun, and I would get to dress up really nice, and that's also important.
What kind of attire do they wear for a yaya
just
act?
Your awesome 60s girls like rock outfits.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm very excited about that. Hopefully that'll actually exist someday. But yeah, I can play that alongside my urban planning music or yeah.
I guess it depends like how far you go with you just being the music, and your thesis at the end for your anthropology subject may be in song.
Yeah, maybe. No, it's definitely, I mean, there are like intersections between everything. I think it would be cool to write some more political music and some music that isn't just about my feelings. But yeah, I don't really know how to do that yet.
Well, it's interesting. Like, there's lots of people that do write for a specific purpose, like rather than just trying to express themselves, be it like storytelling or like a political type thing, or, maybe it's more like an intellectual endeavor or something. But so I think it's quite, natural that you enjoy creating music that is like of your voice and from your feelings, and it connects with you. And so, it comes across as being authentic and genuine, and you're having a good time doing it, and it makes sense that you say, it feels cathartic to like, have the music behind, the feelings that you have, I guess. What do you think is like the, I don't know, not problem, but like, I don't know, do you feel like you're thinking, I need to develop this more when I ask these questions? Or are you like, no, it is good. I'm just doing me, and that's really what matters.
Do you mean in the sense of like developing the responses to the questions you're asking, or developing certain elements of my music?
Oh, I meant about the music, but feel free to tell me about your thoughts in answering questions too.
Okay, good. Because I do have things to say about the music. Yeah, I want to get better at guitar. Yeah, I need to stop writing songs that have the exact same chords. It's kind of getting a little bit ridiculous. And I'll like switch the chords around a little bit, and I'll be like, this is incredible. My friends will be like, doesn't that sound? I'm like, no, this is new. This is a new song. And I'd love to get better at doing like little guitar solos and little riffs and stuff. So I keep telling myself I'm going to get guitar lessons, but I never managed to. So maybe that should be something I really want to work on, and just be able to try new things and not feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over.
Sure. Yeah. Well, maybe we can write up a list of a couple guitarists that you like that you might want to learn from.
I really want to learn from Louis from Gush.
Oh, yeah?
We've discussed it.
I think he does a little bit of teaching.
Yeah, he does. And he's a classical guitarist, which is not what I want. But, that's still cool.
He would at least have all of the technique to, like, be able to do all of the technical things that you want to be able to do.
Yeah, and I also feel like I'm at a really weird stage where I don't know how I would describe it to a teacher. Like, yeah, I play guitar a lot, but I actually don't know anything, but I know quite a lot. It's like, what? And it also will probably be useful with people, more and different people playing in my band, for me to not be like, yeah, so I put my 2 fingers here. I don't know what it is, but I know it makes this sound. And they're like, this is not useful to me at all. I need to know like what I'm actually playing. That would be really useful.
Yeah, you want to be able to communicate what it is that you're making to, make that process a bit quicker if someone learning your songs or something. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like I need to know music theory, like just enough to be able to figure out like if I put my fingers on this fret, what am I actually doing?
Mm-hmm.
Because usually I'll just do stuff and people will be like, oh yeah, you mean that? I'm like, oh my God, there is a word for this? Yeah, there's a word for most things.
So do you think it's because you play in like a lot of open tunings on your acoustic guitar and you've learnt, just shapes or like patterns for where you put your fingers, and then exploring the patterns you've found out like, oh, I like this and I like how this chord moves to this chord, rather than, I guess, like knowing what the names of the actual chords are?
Yeah, it's because it's very much, I'm very self-taught in the sense that I just kind of have played around with the guitar enough and just kind of figured out what sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, sometimes I'll just randomly make a shape, and if it sounds good, I'll use it. It also makes it very hard for me to go back to songs that I've written because I have no record of what it is, because I used to see, this is a lot harder than actually learning the names. I used to draw like a guitar fret and then put little dots where my fingers would go. So when I was writing a song, I would do a different drawing for every single chord I was playing.
Oh, like your own tablature.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. And it got really boring really quickly. It was really hard to do. So yeah, I think that, I'm just kind of playing around with it.
All right, well, we've been playing this game on the podcast.
Yes.
Where everybody asks the question of the next guest. So the previous guest I had on was JT McRae, who's this amazing drummer and producer and multi-instrumentalist. He does lots of things. Most recently, just like did Greta Ray's tour playing drums. So Jackson's got a question for you as the next guest. So please enjoy a question from JT McRae.
I get to hear it.
Whoever you are, next guest, what musical moment formed your current musical identity?
Oh, that's so hard. What musical moment? What is a musical moment?
You can take it to mean whatever you'd like it to mean.
Formed my current musical identity? Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is so hard. I think, this is just kind of a way of like consuming music and the way that I take in music, not so much about what I create.
Mm-hmm.
I had this really beautiful moment. I don't know if I'm allowed to. Oh no, it was legal, so it's okay. I was in Amsterdam with a friend and we had a brownie each, which was legal because we were in Amsterdam. And he's a really, really close friend of mine. We both really love Alex G. And we were playing the song Pretend by Alex G. It's unreleased. Yeah, we're really cool. And we put a blanket over our heads and we were like underneath the blanket, just playing it super loud, just rocking back and forth and singing it. And this was like this outer body. I mean, it felt like the scene from Ratatouille where he puts like strawberries and chocolate together. This is a reference I can tell you also don't understand.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. The people will understand. There's like spirals and swirls. It's like this whole other universe.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I think about what it means to really, really enjoy music, I think about that moment, and it's so funny because that's why sometimes I feel hesitant to go to a concert, because I feel like all my favorite memories of listening to music are like I was dancing on my friend's sidewalk in front of their house listening to Fiona Apple, just like people were walking by, we didn't even care. It's that moment when you listen to music where you get so into it. And so I feel like I've got so many moments with friends where we just completely lose ourselves to the songs. And that's really formed how I take in music and how I perceive it as like this incredible opportunity to feel outside of yourself and to feel something that's so emotional and spiritual and everything. So I'm not sure how that influences my musical identity as a creator, but definitely as someone that listens and appreciates too.
Yeah, so interesting.
Music.
I wonder, like, I think some people have like a strong memory of like the first gig that they went to or the first time that they heard a specific artist, be it like they'd only listened to, let's say, classical music, but then they heard a rock song for the first time and it just like opened their mind, I suppose. For you, there's just been music around your life the whole time. So there's not like I heard the LXG album and it completely changed everything for me because I've always been listening to music and it just feels like it's part of you.
Yeah, music has always been a part of my life. Even we used to have a holiday house in Beach Forest, and we had this big white van, which I recognize now is probably quite creepy. I'm not really sure why my parents owned a big white van. But yeah, they were always playing music on the way there. It was like a 3-hour drive, especially like Josh Pike is so, and that album by The Wings with Paul McCartney, those albums like so fundamental to me, and when I listen to them now I'm just instantly transported back to being a kid. So yeah, music has always been around me, and I feel like it has been a very fundamental part of a lot of my friendships, of like, it's such a beautiful way to connect to somebody when you're both so in it together. Yeah.
Well, what question would you like to ask our next guest?
This is so hard. I think I'm going to be really abstract, which is really funny. If like one of your songs could be an image, like a painting, what would it be?
That's interesting.
Should I ask it should I do the whole thing of like, dear next guest?
Okay, sure. Yeah, however you'd like to present it.
I'm wondering if this is too abstract. No, I'm going to commit to it. Okay, to the next guest, whoever you are, I would like you to describe one of your favorite songs of your own, in an image, in a painting, in a scene, and however you feel it could be creatively represented in another format other than song.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Thanks.
I wonder how they'll...
I'm very excited to hear it.
Yeah.
Do you know who the next person is?
I do know who the next person is.
Oh yeah, we talked about this. Okay, I'm super excited about this.
All right. Well, just to wrap up, Hannie.
Yes.
We end the podcast with 5 quick questions.
Rapid fire?
Rapid fire style.
Okay, I'm ready.
What is your favourite venue to play in Melbourne?
Ooh, Wesley Ann. So pretty.
What's your dream venue to play at?
Oh, dream venue would be the Forum.
What's your coffee order?
Oh, oat chai latte. Not really a coffee. It's embarrassing.
It's a hot beverage.
Yeah, thank you.
You shouldn't be embarrassed by not drinking coffee.
Thank you.
I also don't drink coffee. So,
see, that's where we connect. That's the only connecting factor between us. Rapid fire.
What is your favourite place to get food after a gig?
A falafel? Any falafel place?
Interesting.
I like a falafel.
And finally, what is one piece of advice that you'd give to your younger self?
Oh, calm down. Calm down. It's not that bad. Everything's kind of, just, it's going to be all right. A bit emotional. And listen to Slow Pulp earlier. It's a super awesome band.
Slow Pop?
Slow Pulp.
Ah.
My favourite band.
Your favourite band?
Yeah, I would just tell my younger self to figure it out sooner.
At what age did you discover them?
I was probably like 17. Yeah. I don't know if I would have liked it if I was like 9. So maybe it all worked out perfectly.
I think so. I think that you are having this great moment where you're making great art and great music, and it's just going to keep growing from here.
Thank you. What a beautiful note to end on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on the podcast. Thanks for joining us on Our Drummers Musicians. I hope you enjoyed getting to know another Melbourne muso like I did. Help us grow by leaving a review, share the podcast with friends and family, and subscribe on our website for extra info. Got a guest you'd love to hear on the show? Please let us know at ourdrummersmusicians.com. See you next time.